let's move on to comic book movies because me and superheroes, me and Bob, we're big comic book fans. We're big on comic book movies and stuff like that. So me and Bob are also one of the few people who actually love Batman v Superman. I like the fact that there's a good YouTube video. It's called what is it? It's Batman v Superman Christian imagery or something like that, where they show that Superman's like Jesus, and then Batman's like ordinary man, and then when man encounters, because when Superman dies, Batman becomes or Bruce Wayne becomes a better person because of, spoiler for those who didn't see the movie, in the end of Batman v Superman, Superman dies, and then Batman becomes a better person. He stops becoming like a Punisher type vigilante, and he becomes a hero again. He becomes Batman again. So there are two deaths that changed Bruce Wayne's thinking. It was when his parents died, and then when Superman died. So he becomes Batman when his parents died, and he becomes Batman again when Superman dies. So can you expand on that? And what were your thoughts on Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition? Do you see the Ultimate?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I really loved it. I understand the criticism that they tried to crowd too much in, but I don't think that really ruins it. It was an appropriate denouement, the whole doomsday thing, because they were trying to resolve the General Zod business from Man of Steel. You knew something had to come of that, and why not? And the essential thing, if you read the Death of Superman comics back in the 90s, that was long and drawn out. The Justice League tried to stop Doomsday. They couldn't. This one tried to stop him. That one tried to stop him. Superman tried to stop him, and finally had the shootout at the OK Corral when both of them died. But you didn't really need anything that long to get to that conclusion. Just put Superman and Doomsday in the ring together and see what happens. So they just cut to the chase in the movie. I didn't mind that. But I found the fascinating thing about it, which some thought was a weak point, I don't understand, was that Batman thinks Superman is a danger to the world. If he decided to take over the world or destroy the world, he could do it. Even if he's not wanting to do it today, who knows what will happen? And so Batman says, I've got to kill him, prevent the danger, because he's like a false god. He's an alien from space. We got to get rid of him. And he's on the point of doing it with that kryptonite spear when Superman says, he mumbles, save Martha. Well, Bruce Wayne has been reminded several times throughout this film about the tragic death of his parents and so on. And this, of course, is the motivation for his whole shtick. His mother was named Martha, and he wonders if Superman is somehow referring to her. Why didn't you save Martha? Whatever. And Lois Lane says, no, Martha is Superman's mother's name. And suddenly Batman realizes, my gosh, he has parents and cares about them like I do. He is a human. So he instantly changes his mind. Superman, very powerful, but a human like me, and he becomes an ally with Superman. And, as you say, once Superman dies, he figures, I should have helped him. I'm going to try to replace him by gathering other superheroes. And he does now become more noble. He was just sick of the criminals before. He would beat them, the hell out of them, and brand them with a bat. Holy mackerel, Batman didn't used to do that. And now he is a more noble character again. I see a lot in that. I mean, I don't care if movies make a point or have something to teach you. I'm into it for entertainment, but this does happen to have an interesting moral to it.
I really loved it. I really liked the fact that I didn't like Lex Luthor. See, that was I was bothered by his performance. So what do you think, Biz? I know you're a big Lex Luthor fan and stuff like that. So can you because wasn't Lex Luthor supposed to be older and bald and stuff like that?
Yeah, and in fact, the whole thing with his hair was funny in that he had originally had red hair, and in a lab accident, it destroyed all of his hair. He went bald, and somehow Superboy was in the neighborhood, and he thought he was the cause of it, and that set Luthor off on this crazed vendetta, and then he was bald. Well, when they rebooted Superman in '87 or something like that, John Byrne,
'86 or something, yeah.
He looked more like the traditional Luthor, but had some of the red hairline receding, but soon he lost it too. So they brought it up to date. Well, that's what happens in the movie too, because Luthor has the long hair, but by the end they've shaved it off and he's in jail. So they finally bring that up. But I kind of liked it when I first heard that this guy was going to play Luthor. I said, "What?
Yeah.
What a mistake!" But when I saw it, I thought this is an interesting take, because he's like a Silicon Valley tech prodigy, and he's a bit of a nut, and it fit that he, with his abilities, he's jealous of Superman, and that's always been the thing with Luthor, that he makes us humans look like bugs. Well, I'll show him, and so he does try that. He's got to defeat Superman and show that he's better, and his being a nut, the way he gestured and talked and so on.
I like the fact that he's manipulating both Batman and Superman to fight one another.
Yeah,
I really like that, and I like the fact that that Martha moment that humanizes both of them, and then they're like, wait a minute, we got another enemy, we got other problems besides our own. With the whole Doomsday thing, so I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. And Luthor, I mean, even in the comics, Luthor wasn't a mass murderer. Yeah. This guy is a total sociopath, and he wants to vindicate humanity, but he has contempt for human beings. He's what he's fighting against, and of course he then sells out the world to Darkseid. He has set the beacon for Darkseid and Steppenwolf to come and take over the Earth. I mean, there's like Benedict Arnold or whatever. So he's really villainous, and I kind of like that this weirdo is the big problem.
Did you like the what do you call it, the dream sequence or whatever, the nightmare sequence with the Darkseid cameo or whatever, and the parademons, and then you know what's an interesting image is when Superman comes down and then there's Batman chained up and then there's the two other guys. It kind of reminds me of the crucifixion, right? Because there's Jesus and then there's two robbers besides Jesus.
Interesting.
And then somebody had some interesting theories on that, and then Superman kills both of them, and then he kills Batman by just ripping his heart out or whatever.
And isn't this what Batman was afraid would happen? And I think we're supposed to understand this as a vision of the future, as when he dreams that the Flash appears from the future and says, "You were right about him.
You were right."
And
it was Lois. Yeah.
And so that's right. It all boils down to her, and then he says to Batman in that other dream that you've taken her away from me, and which is very much like Batman's motivation when he lost his parents.
Yeah.
I was sure that in the Justice League we were going to see Darkseid raise Superman from the dead and make him into his champion, which has happened in the cartoons and the comics 2 or 3 times, and that's what we were seeing. These Darkseid troops that had Superman's insignia, they're Superman's stormtroopers, and then the huge Omega in the desert, and the parademons, that the invasion that Luthor invited had happened with Superman at the helm of it, and so Batman was right, but they didn't go that way. I don't know if they're holding it in reserve. They did have the element of the risen Superman being hostile, but what was that, just disorientation?
Disorientation, yeah, probably. Yeah, they didn't really, there was no black suit either.
Right, there was, but they chopped that footage.
They took out all the good stuff.
Yeah, sad. In Zack Snyder's version of it, Batman is knocked out or something and wakes up, and he's with Kilowog and Tomari, two of the alien Green Lanterns.
Oh gosh.
Boy, I hope.
Yeah, there was no Green Lantern. Yeah, there's no Green Lantern. They took out all the good Justice League. So yeah,
no, I admit I've never cared for the Cyborg as a character.
Yeah.
He just seemed to me a prop. He was just a piece of technology which did short shrift to the character. I have to admit, I kind of began to like the character after seeing him in the movie.
yeah, it was Ezra Miller's take was an interesting take.